Hello, hello, and welcome, dear Cresco Fin community, to one of the most special AMAs we're ever going to have. You're going to see everything in this AMA. You're going to see community members becoming team members. You're going to see an amazing, amazing icon of finance and financial media telling us everything that he believes about Cresco Fin, how he's going to help us, and we're very honored to have him as an advisor. But first, join me in welcoming Derek and Monty and Robert. Hello, guys. Here's Felix.
Come on.
Here's our wonderful CTO as well, Amadeo Brands. Here's Bertrand. And last but not least, here's our star guest. Welcome, Damien.
Hello. Nice to be here. Thank you very much, Slavia.
How's everybody doing?
Great. Very excited to be here.
Amazing. Well, Damien, it's such an honor for us that you're here.
Thank you.
We'd like to use a couple of minutes of your time to really understand, okay, what pulled you towards Cresco? How do you see Cresco? How are you going to help us present this offer to the world?
Okay, well, thank you. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the co-founder of Real Vision. So Raul Pal and I got together. It was actually in Spain about 10 years ago. We'd known each other for much longer, and we developed the concept, launched Real Vision. And in the course of our work with Real Vision, obviously we talk to almost anybody who's anybody in the financial community, and latterly, obviously, in the crypto community. And so we have a very good understanding of the pieces of the jigsaw in that space. And we also see a lot of startups. We see a lot of new businesses. We see a lot of players, ideas, and concepts. And when I think it was Robert who I first spoke to, when I first spoke to Robert, I have to say it was one of the very, very, very few that caught my attention, our attention, made us prick up our ears and want to know more. And indeed, Raul got, as you probably know, Robert onto Real Vision TV, and we did a big interview with Robert. And I think what fascinated me particularly about Cresco Fin is, at the moment, we seem to be living in a world where there are two approaches to finance. There is the old world of traditional finance, and people are very focused on that. And then there is the new world of crypto, which is seen as the kind of the rebellious, the anti-finance environment, creating a very different path. And that's fine, and that's great. And I think that happens in the early stages of any new technology or any new concept. But what I believe, and I think what Raul believes very much, is that what's going to happen as we move forward is that those two worlds are going to start to come together, and that there will be a blended environment of crypto and fiat. There will be a blended way of managing our money and our finances. And what I like about Cresco is that it understands that dynamic and is thinking beyond the short-term mania that is around crypto, and is thinking about the long-term structure of the financial system and how the part it can play within it. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, I think it feels like being at the early stages of Amazon, where there is a really big idea here that can be developed. And that's one of the things I'm very much looking at, is how will this brand be behaving and be perceived in 5 years' time and 10 years' time, not just in 5 months' time or a formal launch. So that's a really important aspect for it. This idea, one of the ideas that we're talking about is the bank alternative. And what I like about that is we can deliver a lot of what you want from a bank, but it's alternative, but it's also something different. And there's something very nice about rooting yourself in the world of the traditional financial system while at the same time disrupting it. All of the best disruptors disrupt from within. That is the most successful way of disrupting and changing something. It's the best way of creating a revolution is from within. So that's what I like about Cresco. It feels like it's doing it from the inside. I love the fact that Robert every now and again turns up in a suit and tie, speaking to Swiss bankers, and it's like he's the fifth man, that he is the enemy on the inside. You know, there is something really interesting about that kind of anarchic disruption from within. And I think that's what we're doing with the financial system as a whole. So that to me is a really powerful perspective to have, that rather than trying to attack from the outside, it's taking what we can from the inside and bringing in the best of digital, the best of crypto, the best of DeFi. And part of that for me is that we have to be very user-centric. So up till now, the whole financial system has been, it's built on history, it's built on the institutions, it's built on the policies and the processes that have become increasingly corrupt and increasingly stretched over time. And that's why it's so dysfunctional, and that's why it's failing us. What I like about Cresco, and one of the things we're really focused on, particularly when we start to look at the app and the way we, the interface, is we want it to be very user-centric. We want to use not just the language, but the way people think rather than the way banks think. Because I think all of us in our research and our conversations, what we've all kind of discovered, I guess, is that banks have one way of talking, and then what we do is we kind of translate it into what that means for us. And actually, we're going to start with the user and the consumer and work back. We want this to be, this is about the people's bank. This is about what do you think and feel and what do you want. So as part of that, community is very important. You guys are super important to this. This is a very iterative process of development. We don't see this as a monologue. This is a dialogue with you, the community, and that is how we will develop and engage and improve. And I think that's a very important part of what we want to do. And a fundamental feature that we are looking at is that this won't be a product that is launched and then that's it. We don't see Cresco as being as a static thing. Built into our DNA is fluidity, is movement, is constant evolution. The analogy that I use is with my mobile phone. Apple are always sending me updates. If I have a Tesla, I wake up in the morning and I get an update saying that I've got five gallons more, better fuel consumption. That behind the scenes, the product or service is constantly being improved and developed and made better. I wake up and suddenly my iPhone does something that it didn't do yesterday. That's what we want to do with this bank, is this constant state of embracing what the community wants and what is best out there and bringing that together so that this really is a banking alternative that moves with the times and moves with our audience. And that's why even things like this, the AMA is a great example of that psychology built into the way the company works, which is it's open, it's discursive, we talk to you, we get feedback from you, and we evolve accordingly. And that's how you create something genuinely disruptive. It's not from three people in a room coming up with an idea, although that's obviously the genesis of it. It's how we embrace the best in class that's out there, the best ideas, the ideas from our community. That's how you really, really stand apart. So I'm really excited about that. Right now, we're looking at the logo design. We want to evolve the logo slightly, and we're developing that. We're also looking at the UX. How do I engage with this service, which is incredibly exciting. We're working with a brilliant team internally. I'm also working one of the designers who's built up Real Vision with me. So I think we're in a really, really very exciting place right now. And I'm super excited to be part of it.
Well, that's amazing, Damien. We're really so delighted that somebody like you will help us essentially tell the story of Cresco, because often we're too close to it. Right.
Yes.
I mean, us, as a team, the community, whatever, it's really incredible to have somebody who's worked with Damien Hirst and J.K. Rowling and, Microsoft and like a whole range of people in terms of how you tell the Cresco story. So we're super excited that you've really rolled up your sleeves and gotten your hands dirty, and you've even included you in all the internal team chats. So
it's
super
great.
Cool.
It's great. And I think one of the dangers now, and we see this time and time again, is at this stage in development, because, for example, the tech is so important, or what are the particular financial instruments that we're offering, it's very easy to get caught up and go down those rabbit holes and get caught up in that. And the hard thing, and I think we've been very successful at it so far as a team, is pulling back and saying, but what's the vision? What's the story? What do we stand for? That's what will sustain us over the next few years, because technology will change and financial products will change, but our vision, what we stand for, and how we constantly disrupt, not just today, but next year and in 10 years' time, that's how we become a multi-billion-dollar business that really helps its users. And that's what I'm most excited about.
I think one of the greatest things as well that we've talked about is essentially harnessing the power of the community, right?
Yeah.
Because when Derek and I first conceived of this, we didn't really need the funding. We had funded it all ourselves, and what we really were hoping for is that we would develop a community of people who are also passionate, like we are, about replacing banking with code. And part of, I think, your vision, Damien, of like how we're going to challenge the global banking industry, who has almost unlimited resources, is essentially tapping into that passion for our community.
I think it's actually the secret that will unlock it, because the financial system has survived for so long because it is a very closed, very insular sector that has immense power, and it's been very difficult to disrupt. And I think with the changes in technology, with the changes in mindset that's happening across the world when it comes to finance, but if we can embrace the power of the hive mind, if we can embrace the power of the community in terms of thinking and ideas, I think that's how we get to something. That's my son calling me.
That's funny.
He's seeing this and has
clearly live, yeah.
I think that's how we get something really exciting, because it's from the hive mind and the power of the community that we get something special. Look at Bertrand. He was one of the community, has now come on board to the team. That's a classic example of how this kind of disruption works and starts to really multiply.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've got another. We're looking for really talented devs. So we've got Bertrand. We've got Nick, who's joined us as well. We've got some others that are going to join. I mean, from a few different backgrounds. Some people helping with insurance, others with app positioning in the App Store. So I think you said at Real Vision, you've kind of tapped into your...
Yeah, we found there were two things at Real Vision that when we started, and it's still true today, but we hadn't realized there were two factors that were fundamental to the success of the people within the business and to our growth. One was people who had lived in different countries, people who had moved abroad. And if you look at most of the team, you are all people who have lived abroad in some shape or form, starting with Derek and Robert. And the reason that's important is because it is the only thing that psychologists have proven will increase your creativity. It's the only thing. You can go on courses, you can learn things, but the only thing proven to increase your creativity is moving abroad. And the reason for that is when you move abroad, you have to recognize that all the rules change. And what you took for granted in your home country isn't the same way you are now. So what happens is you mentally open your mind a little bit, and that means you're more open to ideas and you're more creative. And so that was one huge factor in our business, is at one point, I think something like 70% of the staff had lived abroad or weren't living in their home country. The second factor, and again, I see that reflected here, is we had 40 to 50% of our staff, depending on what stage in our development, had been subscribers to the channel and then joined us. They kind of came over to the other side and joined us on the business. And that's because they could see the vision. They had the energy and the passion and the ideas for it just as much as the founders. And that's why, it's their company as much as the founders' company. And that's how you get something special. You build a community out of that. And it's a meaningful community. It's not just a bit of dialogue on Twitter. It's a proper community where people can engage and make a difference.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what Derek and I were hoping for. And now we've got like thousands of people in the Telegram and the Discord and that are, token holders. And, it's only been since, the end of November. So the work that you're doing, we really hope that that's something that we can like enfranchise the community and get them to help us. Whether we've had people put up their hands from like, Honduras to Argentina to Thailand to here in Europe. It's like, it's pretty exciting. So
it's great. And I think one of the things, again, talking to the community, is there are times where we're going to mess up. There are times where we're going to do something that people don't like, and that's all part of the journey. But as long as we all feel like we're in it together, then that's fine, you know, because we know what we're trying to achieve. And if we're all pulling in that direction together, you know, we'll knock the edges off things together to make it work and make it as good as it can be.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you being involved and help us like tell the story. And it's part of it's part of our long relationship with Real Vision. So this is going to translate into more marketing in the future with Real Vision, because you do the creative side. And before you leave, I have a little clip from the video that you shot for us, the very first one at the Tate Gallery in the Tate Modern in London. And as a Derek, do you want to tell a bit of the backstory?
Well, we were telling the story about this kind of the 48 hours surrounding when we first met. And we had an interesting lunch, and I was invited to bring Monty to the shooting of the Tate. And then all of a sudden there was a rumor that he wasn't allowed, which I didn't believe. So Monty showed up, and we had some interesting questions about Monty, whether he was classed as a security token or a utility token. And we did well to not get chucked out. Let's put it that way.
I think the only way we got Monty in is we said that he was not a guide dog, because you clearly went blind, but he was a service dog that you clearly had disabilities and needed a dog to help you. No, we didn't go into what those disabilities were, but yes, that's how we got it.
Which actually is kind of true.
Politically correct that they would never ask somebody about a disability that they needed a dog for. So.
Yeah.
So Damien, I have a really quick final snapshot here. Can people see this? Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
So this is the end of our shooting.
Hello. Oh, I love that.
That's great.
That was lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks very much.
Thank you for having me, everybody. I'm afraid I have to go, but I'm here. I'm part of this team, part of this community, and I'm really looking forward to working with everybody. So let's get stuck in.
That's great. Thanks again, Damien.
Thank you.
Thanks, Damien.
Bye, Damien. Thank you. Okay, so let's keep going. The other new face you're going to see is Bertrand. Hi.
Hello.
You're the fulfillment of what Cresco Fin is trying to do, Bertrand. We're trying to get people from all over the world, from all walks of life, with all imaginable skills, to join in, to pitch in, and to help us make a new banking model a reality. So, Derek, Robert, is there anything you'd like to say on this?
Yeah, well, we're super excited that a few talented community members have joined us, including Bertrand. And as you can see, he adds many things: DevOps, an amazing beard that proves he's clearly a serious programmer, and he speaks French. It's all the things we're looking for, you know. And already Bertrand has brought us some amazing ideas, including Request Network, which we've implemented now in the company for invoices. And yeah, it's we've got a lot of energy inside the team, so it's exciting. So community members who have the skills that we're looking for, we're recruiting.
And the beard is definitely that was the tipping point. We were on the fence with him technically. We looked at that beard and said, "You're in."
Bertrand, do you want to say just a bit about yourself
and about your beard?
Yes, I'm passionate about computers and all the new method of communication, and of course now blockchain for some years already. And I'm glad to be able to join the team and to help on the technical side and more precisely on the infrastructure side for the DevOps part. And I'm glad I've seen the thinking backward that was also done as Amazon, where I've worked before, and I prefer now the mood at Cresco Fins and what it was at Amazon, and I wish we will have at least the same success in Amazon in the future.
Exactly.
Bertrand, what's the
Very well
first
said.
language you learned to program in?
Yeah. What you ask?
What's the first language you learned how to program in?
Oh, it was a very long time ago in the previous century when I learned Quick Basic, something like this.
Okay.
So I've programmed that way. I've modified my first game to change the conditions that you lose a life when you hit a tree. So I was so bored to hit a tree too many times. So I've debugged the program and removed the conditions that you stop the game when you hit a tree.
That's cool.
Able to play all time.
Maybe that'll be on V3 of the app. We'll start integrating everybody's old games that they programmed.
Yeah, it was in the 80s, so
Yeah.
very long time ago.
Derek and I were around, so that's why Derek asked. Okay, that's amazing.
Awesome.
Well, we're super excited you're on board. It's part of the Cresco ethos that the community gets involved in, whether it's programming or there's a lot of other things that we're going to be asking the community to help us with. So, all
And
right.
I hope to help decentralize also on the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get started with the main points. Before we jump into your questions, dear community, we have some, let's call it updates on the things we've been working on. So one of the things is Cruised. There are some new developments with Cruised, and you're going to want to hear this. So what can we tell the community?
Well, we had hoped to have the awesome news that Cruise was launched on the mainnet before the AMA, but we're slightly delayed by about 24 hours. So Cruise is going live this weekend. We have a soft launch with an existing client, and we're minting 100,000 Cruised that will be live, as we said. So the update on the regulatory side is that Cruise is being presented to FINMA as a utility token and representing the link to the asset pool that sits off-chain, including fiduciary accounts and invoices that we purchase. And then we're going to move into select on-chain assets that we're going to be reporting in terms of the proof of reserves. It's the Chainlink proof of reserves oracle that we're implementing. And we're also in the process of appointing an auditor, so people will be able to see the regular reports from them. And as I said, the utility token is key by presenting that to the regulator because it allows for a quite wide distribution of the token. And as everybody knows, that Cruise is the center of our proposal for a collateral market on Aave. So once we have this all buttoned up with the regulator, that is the next step.
Awesome. All right. And I hear you've been making quite some strides in the insurance part as well. What's that about?
That's one of the more exciting ones. Sorry, one sec here. Somebody's telling me I need more volume in the chat.
That's probably
perfect,
maybe should have led with that. We're very excited to introduce. This is the first you're going to hear it to the community. Is Merkle Tree Insurance. Merkle Tree Insurance is our insurance vehicle that will be based out of Bermuda, and this is the first public announcement that we've made to this effect. One of the distinctions we need to make is that Merkle Tree is going to be launched as a commercial insurer rather than a captive vehicle. For anybody that knows any of the details about insurance, you'll know what that means, and we can write something up to the effect further on. But the initial activities of Merkle Tree focus on the telecom sector and the factoring services that we do, but we'll very quickly move more into the DeFi space, and we think we're going to be the first commercial insurer to fully tackle the DeFi space. Now, one of the questions that we have always had about that is what's the benefit to the community of an insurance vehicle that's based from Cresco Fin? And aside from having bespoke insurance and reducing the wait time for any claim that we should need to make, it also reduces the operational costs. So the net margin that we end up making as Crescofin is going to increase. As for the benefit to the WCRES holders directly is that obviously because it's a subsidiary of Crescofin, you'll have an indirect interest by owning WCRES. But we are also working on a program where any existing WCRES holder at a certain moment in time, which we probably won't tell you when that is, will be able to claim a direct economic benefit into Merkle Tree. And we're trying to work out all the details to make sure we're on side with that, but that's what's coming. So in the next few days, you should see a holding page for a website, and we're hoping to have the regulatory application fully buttoned up and be operating in Q3.
Awesome. Well, let's check on our amazing new CTO now. And I know, Amadeo, you've been having so much work with the tech development. So why don't you tell us a couple of things that you've been working on?
Yeah, it's busy times. The DeFi market is moving super fast, and it seems that the Crescofin narrative of being a bank, replacing banking with code, in my opinion, it's really at the right time, at the right moment. Maybe even a little bit too early, because I think that narrative of that DeFi will eat finance is for me never really gone away. I never felt that we were. For me, it was always DeFi summer, so I never felt we're anyway in DeFi winter because of all the developments that have been going on. So yeah, a lot of things are moving, and especially now in terms of the market. Yeah, it's beautiful to see the DeFi ecosystem really maturing. So I think the state that the DeFi ecosystems are is really going into a more mature level. If we look at MakerDAO, if we look at Crescofin, if we look at other like real world asset protocols, it's really maturing. And for the actual in-house technical development side, we are increasing the team rapidly. We have hired not the trial from the community, but we also have hired a couple of other people as well, where we have now 2 senior Golang developers. We have 1 new UX UI talent, and we're gonna hire more and more people moving forward. And what we now have mostly been working on is to get the commercial web application out. So now we're drafting out all the integration between Accomplish Bank, between Currency Cloud, and seeing how we can smoothly move also into our assets into DeFi back and forth. But now the focus mainly for the tech team is mainly on the CFI side, and I think I also mentioned this in our previous AMA, where we're basically taking a banking infrastructure first approach to this new innovation called DeFi. Of course, we have a lot of DeFi talent. We're now building the banking infrastructure, and then we're gonna make sure that we have a very solid bridge so that the DeFi world and the CFI world, without calling it actually a bridge, is more of a merge, that these 2 worlds will be merged together. And it's just a seamless interaction of, you want to put some assets in DeFi with a certain risk parameter that you can maybe insure via Merkle Tree insurance, or you want to put some assets into a saving account with the deposit savings. And, we're drafting that all out. It has been a lot of work. There has been a lot of new insights. And the more that I dive deeper into setting up basically a bank, the more bullish I get on DeFi. And me and Robert and Derek, we have a lot of, and also Bertrand, and we have a lot of discussions on like, oh my God, really? Is it really done like that in the current financial system? Yeah, and a lot of these realizations come to me where some of the integrations seem super simple, but then digging deeper into them, there's a lot of unexpected regulatory or edge cases that we're facing, but we're tackling them also very fast. So I hope to give you probably within, in the other coming AMA, a more concrete roadmap and a more concrete technical delivery timeline of all the things that are to come. We're also working now, besides our web application, our mobile application. We're also working on a web application more for the institutionals, because we see the demand from the institutionals to also have a web interface into their saving products as well. So that's a very short but long update.
Well, that's useful. What about you, Bertrand? You could give us maybe your views of having just started at Cresco, and kind of the opportunities, the things that interest you, what Cresco can do in the future.
Yeah, more into, I think it about the engagement and also democratization. So to be able to bring more adoption to the DeFi side, when we see some statistics that only 1% of unique address has interacted with a DeFi protocol, it seems there is still a long way to go, even for Ethereum users to practice with DeFi. So when saying that a lot of people even are not on Ethereum, I like the user point of view, that helping people to discover both blockchain world and then the DeFi benefits, and not limiting it to finance you. That's what I like in DeFi, in the decentralized coming with finance, and bring another point of view than just the traditional finance or the centralized finance. That's what passionates me. And yeah, we have also a new way of building the infrastructure, that instead of having a more centralized infrastructure, we will also decentralize the infrastructure more and more by not relying on our own monolithic system, and making it more functional with the decentralization even inside the infrastructure.
For me too, that's the most exciting thing about Cresco. I think it's the holistic approach, where you just see it as finance. I mean, I know the tech team has built out these two architectures inside Cresco, on the traditional side and then on the crypto side. We have a very cool bridge idea. But for me, it's the holistic thing that you could go into one app and you could be holding euros or dollars or DAI. I mean, that you could, that you can see all of that in one place without seeing it separately. Because like you say, Bertrand, it's like the adoption rate is so low, but there's such a wave that's coming. It's just incredible. So.
Yeah, and it's good to be at the beginning of the wave instead of the end of the wave.
Yes, that's right.
Quite
Sometimes
literally.
we're too much on the beginning of the wave, I think, because like I know the tech team, tech team is very crypto focused, and they think they ask funny questions to people in TradFi, like, well, why would you build it like that? It's like you see where it's going to go, but like having Cresco as the ability, like I think it's almost unique that Cresco will have full-fledged operational ability in both spaces, like full architecture where you can go from 34 different like fiat wallets seamlessly through to crypto and back and forth. So we're really excited that somebody like you from DevOps has joined us to help it, like, make it more than just a vision. So
yeah, that's important. What missed to many crypto projects is this bridge or this integration with real world, if I could name it like this.
Yeah, but it's an exciting thing that Amadeus and the rest of the team are really like leading on.
Yeah, and I want to call it more of a merge than instead of a bridge. And then in the new design, the new branding that we're making, it's more of like a fluid design, right? So that's what Slavian and Felix and then more the branding team is now working very hard on. That's like a fluid between, if it's CeFi or DeFi, it doesn't matter. It's both investment products and it's a merge of the two worlds. And I think even with the correct game theoretical incentives, we could do something similar of what happened maybe from SushiSwap to Uniswap. I'm not gonna say the word, but I think people know what I'm talking about. So it's like thinking about it, like the fiat system is just outdated, and if we can offer them a onboarding flow to a more efficient system, and educate people how to take more control over their own finances, that's something I'm very passionate about, as everybody knows, and also Robert and everybody in the Crescofin team, and that's something that we really want to build as a community. And we're also we're looking for ways to make all the products like Merkle insurance or the bridge or other things. We want to involve the community as much as possible.
Perfect. Amazing. Okay. So that's a lot of material that it's actually in the questions, that's actually present in the questions. But before we get to that, let's do a quick roadmap update, because the community is very smart in this regard, that they see the roadmap as something that we need to update, and they want updates on a regular basis, for example, this AMA. So what we've decided to do is, yes, let's acquiesce that request, and let's deliver quick roadmap updates on the things that we're working on. So, for example, for you, Derek, what's going on with Sharia? What are the updates on that front?
Well, the Sharia is around. As you know, it's Eden, so things have slowed down a little bit. But the Sharia is going around down to the asset that we're buying, and we're back and forth with lawyers in Dubai about what we can buy and what we should buy. And it's a very fine point, but it is the detail that makes the product, as I would say, scalable, is that it needs to be legitimately a Sharia product. And under Sharia law, actually buying a debt is prohibited, but we're looking at the aspect where we actually buy the call that's been made by the telco. So that's the update. And it's kind of a how long piece of string when you go back and forth, when you introduce lawyers and Islamic scholars. There's other ways to dress it up. People have gotten a lot, more, I would say, less defined projects across the line. But as you know, at Crescofin, we always take the high road, and we want to do it right. So it will come eventually. It'll come, in the next couple of months, that the launch will be there. But the legal team and the scholars, I think, are close.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you. Okay. So one other topic, one other point in the roadmap that people have been paying considerate attention about is the cards. What can you tell us about the cards, Robert? What's the stage we're at?
So, as everybody knows, we've signed up with MasterCard and Visa, but as the tech team has found out, nothing in traditional finance is perfectly clear. I don't know what the opposite is of money Legos, but that's TradFi. So, we're super excited about. I mean, you have an account. You've got a fiat account with us. You've got like all these different wallets. You're gonna have the same thing on the crypto side. Of course, you need to be able to spend it. So we're actually really excited about MasterCard and Visa. The Visa in particular has been, really pushing us to like do some cool stuff with crypto, that you'll be able to spend your like WCRES to buy coffee, or spend Link, or spend like ETH or whatever. So in the MVP version 1.0, which we're working day and night on, there's going to be MasterCards, and it's going to be in the EEA, the European Economic Area, the UK, and Switzerland. And it's going to start with virtual cards. So that's coming out with version 1.0 of the MVP. And then physical cards will follow on. After that, it's going to be in GBP, so British pounds and euros, and Swiss francs. Visa is coming afterwards, because, of course, it's not just as simple as signing up with Visa. You also have the card issuer. You've got a BIN sponsor. You've got a bunch of other stuff working on it. I spend a lot of time on it. So, but it looks like we're going to launch Visa probably at the end of Q3. It's going to be in Europe and Asia, including Australia, and it's going to tie in nicely with the wallets. So, yep. So it is coming.
Amazing, very, very good. And just on that topic as well of finally releasing our MVP. Many people from all over the world are paying close attention to what we're doing. And many people speak many languages and want to help in these languages. Have you had some approaches by people in different markets telling you, well, when can I expect this in Russia? When can I expect this in Japan? When can I expect this in South America?
Yeah, Slavian, I guess one of the really cool things about having a community that's global and having my DMs open is that, I've got a lot of amazing ideas, people who've offered to help in Argentina and places like Lebanon, a lot of people from Turkey and from Russia recently. So, MVP 1.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, it's all going to be in English. We need to get the very basics right, but then we are thinking about harnessing our communities in different countries to launch there. So we're actively studying and looking at doing it in Russian, doing it in Turkish. We're definitely going to do it in the Swiss languages, which is like French, German, and Italian. We've got a number of Spanish speakers on board, and we're going to recruit some community guys and girls to help us in South America. As you know, Slavian is and Felix as well leading the charge in Brazil and Portuguese. So those are all coming later. Can't promise it this year. I mean, I'd really like to do it this year, but there's a few places where we're looking at active entry where I think people would just be happy to hold money with a Swiss-based regulated bank alternative where everything's insured, not just looking like we are in Europe and the United States to get a little bit more on our money, but just even for safety. So that's definitely something we'll add to a future phase of the roadmap. But I'm really excited about entering different countries because, we have payout systems in 17 different local jurisdictions. So we do payouts in SEPA in Europe, we do faster payments in the UK, ACH in the United States, but we also do it in Indonesia, Malaysia, Brazil, Singapore, Australia. So if there's any community members out there that have some thoughts on market entry and want to help, my DMs are open.
All right, so we've got the roadmap updates out of the way. Let's start with the community questions.
I want to put one point also for the roadmap before we end it, right? So basically, the MVP, or if you look at product launch, there have been some dates communicated, etc. And as Robert already communicated, with CeFi, DeFi is much easier, but in CeFi there can be a lot of unexpected technical and just operational roadblocks. And we're now going through them, and we will communicate a more community input, a more community-driven roadmap that is more transparent and gives also a little bit more clarity on when and what can be expected to be launched. And soon we will probably, when we also have our new some other new releases out, we will get some better users on that, etc. But it's please hang in there with us, and we are working very hard about building a bank, especially when you want to integrate it into DeFi. It's quite a task, but we're working on it day and night. So we will keep you updated, and we will release very soon more detailed insights into what and how we will release and how that will look like.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things to note is that, just for the community, is that we produced that roadmap just before Amadeo joined, and Amadeo has brought an incredible depth of knowledge to the team, and we need a refinement of the roadmap. And one of the things that we were talking about just before this call is Amadeo has a great idea to actually create a live mechanism where you can see what we're working on. And so that's what's coming in the roadmap. It's not that we're going to put this out every 3-4 months. It's that we're going to produce a portal where you can see live what tasks. You'll see all this converted into tasks that we're working on, and you can see it real time rather than relying on us to update this every few months. It's a much better way of working so that you can have full transparency of what's going on.
Yeah, especially with tag and integrations, it's like every day we get approached by a lot of different protocols that want to integrate with us, and we all love that. And the goal for me as a CTO and as a tech lead basically is that I want to make transparent we have an amount of resources, and I want to make transparent all the tasks that we're working on, and I want to have the community vote up or vote down things that we should focus or not focus on. And I think that will also hook into Damien Horner's idea of making an ever evolving bank, right? So it's like you have your bank, you will be able to open your fiat account, you will be able to be integrating with Aave. Probably Aave will be our first DeFi integration together with DeFi Saver. And then, it's up to the community what we work on next. We have our roadmap in mind. We put it down. And then we want to hear from our community which tasks we need to put our attention on first.
Sounds great. Sounds like a very cooperative way of working, which is what we've been doing for all this time. And we're building for the community. So definitely, I think the community will appreciate this effort very, very much so. Okay, so it's time to go on to the questions, to the community questions. The first one is kind of a background. Let's get a background on this first question. So last week we had a very active conversation with a couple of community members who are in the factoring business, and they would like to understand like some details that we've not made clear to them yet, even better. So the first question is, we've got this business model, okay, but why doesn't our business plan mention how you can sustainably acquire customers on the factoring side? And what would we do if one of the clients we were working with just switched to a new solution? So what do you think, Robert?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we try to find a balance between giving an overall view of how we operate without getting into endless detail. But we're proposing something different. And it's not just on the depositor side where we're trying to break the mold and bring essentially mass adoption based on the benefits from DeFi, but we're also trying to do it on the factoring side. So factoring is something that Derek and I spent a lot of time looking at, and when we're really convinced that the solution is blockchain plus insurance. And what we do essentially is we by using essentially our smart contract model, which converts legacy paper contracts into smart contracts. We make things automatically executing. We have our proof of delivery mechanism, which essentially shows that the seller has delivered the good or service. And then it's just a question of, will the buyer pay, which we cover off with credit insurance through Lloyd's. It's a fundamentally different model than your typical factoring. So I don't really like factoring. I don't like calling it factoring so much. For me, the real amazing part of it is using crypto native technologies, things like smart contracts, to cut out the possibility of disputes, and then we pull the data from chain to create our invoices, which is the factoring thing. And by pulling the data from chain, essentially you cut out the possibility of fraud as well, because the invoice comes from us. So the question is acquiring customers. It's the same as on the deposit side. Like we do what tech companies do best. We attack an inefficient legacy system that is high margin with a better offer. We cut out costs, so we reduce that margin and we share the benefits with both sides. So we've started in the telecom space because it's from a technology perspective, it's very clear about the delivery essentially of the good or service, which reduces the possibility of disputes. So We haven't had any clients switch to a new solution, I guess is the question. We really believe that our solution is what people are going to switch to. And we're looking at integrating that in other ways as well. I mean, one of the things that I was most excited about Bertrand joining is like, he's passionate about, request network. And I mean, I think blockchain, big picture, is going to be the way that it's going to replace supply chains. It's going to replace, the way factoring happens. It's going to replace how insurance is considered in relation to whether something has been delivered or not. So in the traditional model, you pay essentially to acquire customers, and we have a bit of a different model. I mean, we offer something that is more competitive. We're starting with a very niche focus, but a huge industry. Telcos is like $100 billion industry, and we're looking at rolling that out in other industries. So we haven't provided all the details of customer acquisition costs because a lot of those customer acquisition costs so far have been shoe leather. They've been like the human involvement of like through connections, developing relationships, because you basically develop a relationship with a buyer and the suppliers, and the amounts are enormous. So that's the answer to that. But if people are interested in factoring and they have some ideas, spend a lot of my day thinking about it. My DMs are open, like I said. So
wonderful. Okay. And just to tie into question number 2, someone mentioned that we stated 5% DIM. We can't really find it, but how do we get the invoice discount rate? How do we arrive at it?
Yeah. So look, we encourage all these like very transparent like questions and hard questions from the community. So we don't apply that as a 5% discount rate. I mean, what we typically do for a middle of the road BBB, which is an investment grade credit in the telco space, is we charge just under 8%, typically on that side, and then it works out into a discount factor. And you can see it actually pretty clearly in the financial model that we put in the IM. There's a link to Google Sheets if you want to play with it, and you can see what the margin is for the company. You can see the benefit for the depositors. I mean, basically the factoring party wins, the depositors win, the company, everybody wins, except of course the legacy banks. But if people want to ask me more direct questions about our discount rate, I'm happy to discuss it. If you meant the financing rate, 'cause maybe that's it, because we do buy 95% of the invoice. So maybe that's what they're thinking. And if you're referring to the 95% that we pay up front, that's based on our insurance coverage. So we get insurance coverage for 95% of the invoice amount. So we finance 95%, so it's always 1-to-1. So there's never any basis risk, so to speak. So Cresco never takes any risk like that. So
okay. So well, they still think that these factoring rates that we're using, they aren't really competitive by themselves. So how do we even find the invoices to buy at these rates? Why do people accept them?
Well, it's interesting where that question comes from, but we see in our process of onboarding people that we're buying invoices from, typically we see their other agreements because we have to be satisfied that the company's discharged of any obligations or any liens or charges over the company, and so we see these other arrangements that people have, and typically what we see, as Rob said, that the big difference, because we're buying the invoice and because we have the insurance, one of the major differences is not so much the rate, but what will pay out, the percentage of the invoice that will pay out. And a typical factoring agreement from a bank, and if I wasn't bringing, I've seen one of these from Barclays. They're paying out 80% of the invoice. Now, in this specific sector of telecoms that we're looking at, the margins are very thin, and 80% is, it's good, but it doesn't solve the problems. So when we pay out 90 to 95, that right there is a game changer for people, because they can go out and now recycle that cash by more minutes that they're going to sell back to somebody like Telefonica, and they get a better rate. And it does create a more efficient system overall. So the people are quite happy to see us once they get on board. It's a better model for their business.
Okay. Well, this pretty much solves this a lot. This solves it already.
And it's along, telcos. They love the tier 3 telcos. They love factoring because it does allow them to go out there. And like I said, these agreements that we see, they're paying between 10 and 18%. It's significant interest rates for them. And combine that with a payout of 8%, it doesn't really help them that much. But so when we come in with these interest rates and looking at typically between 7 and 14%, that is an annualized version of what we'll pay to buy that invoice from them, and then we'll pay them out 90 to 95 depending on the insurance cover. That is a much more efficient business.
Okay, great. So a very interesting question that comes associated with buying invoices is, can you buy them from any country? Are there laws to comply with, regulations?
Well, we're a little bit shy of buying anything out of North Korea, to be fair. So, but otherwise, the first thing we do is look at who's paying the invoice. And we assess the credit risk solely on who has to pay that invoice to the supplier, who we're buying it from. That being said, we always look at specific regulations. We don't want to be offside in a country, but right now we're predominantly concentrated in Europe, and invoice factoring is commonplace, not just in telcos, and we're always looking at other lines of business to go to.
Okay, wonderful.
That's great.
So moving on to question 6.
So, and that's that's for you, Slavian, right? So I'm going to ask it of you, since you're the head of marketing. How are you going to market Cresco? Do you have campaigns planned? Use the community? Legal restrictions on where you can do marketing? Tell us all about it.
Very, very interesting questions. Thank you so much for asking. Well, the very first thing I'm going to say is we've got a very, very, very good partner, a very solid partner by our side, which is Real Vision. What we're going to do first and foremost is leverage Real Vision, because Real Vision's audience coincides with our initial group. It's the path of least resistance to understanding and getting across to people and reaching out to the people who are convinced that there's a problem with negative interest, that they're actively looking for a solution. Real Vision has an amazing pool of people from where we can extract data and where we can test campaigns. What are these kinds of campaigns? Where are we really going to do the marketing? Well, it's as you would expect from any digital marketing approach, really. You're going to have email marketing. You're going to have content marketing that's suited to the needs, to the pain points of these people. We're going to accompany these people through the marketing funnel. Of course, first we're going to generate more awareness, not only of the brand, but also connecting the solution to negative rates to the product and to the brand. From the awareness stage, they're going to move on to the consideration, where they're going to see us in a bigger amount of places. Everywhere they look, everywhere they try and find a solution, they're going to see us there. This could be obviously PPC. This could be on top of their search engine results. So social search engine marketing is going to be a very big part of it. Then there's display advertising. There's social media marketing, especially Twitter marketing for the beginning. And then obviously, as you are mentioning here, as you're asking here, we are going to use the community. Your leverage as well, dear community. We can create affiliate marketing campaigns with you and referral marketing campaigns with you. In terms of affiliate marketing, we're going to turn you into ambassadors, and you're going to be obviously handsomely rewarded for it, because we're going to create some programs where both you and us can get what we would like. We would like to get more users, and you'd like to get benefits out of Cresco. And for referral programs, you're going to be rewarded as well for sharing the new way of banking. In terms of legal restrictions on where you can do marketing, yes, well, this is a very good question, very interesting one, because if you look at Twitter ads, they have some points where they say it's a no-go to, for example, advertise in some countries or advertise about certain topics. From the test campaigns that we've done, we've been able to successfully comply with everything they've thrown at us, so it will not be a problem to get our campaigns out there. So I hope that answers it in a high-level regard. I'm going to keep working on this, and it's going to be ever more frequent that I'm going to talk about our campaigns, about our initiatives. We're not just going to start out of the blue. You're going to see things taking shape, and these mechanisms, the email marketing, the search engine marketing, you're going to see it taking shape. Okay, so question number 7, Felix. Do we have plans for NFTs?
Yeah, at this point in time, I've been doing a lot of work into the NFT research with people working in the company and also contacts outside. And we've come up with quite a few ideas, actually. So relative to the launch of the retail app, we have thought about, for example, different colors for digital and physical cards relative to the geographical location. Because, I mean, I don't know if a lot of users in this live stream have done questionnaires with me, but I've had the opportunity and the honor to question a lot of people based on, competitors outside of our market and also services they've used and services they haven't liked. And one of the things that I've understood pretty clearly is we are a very diverse community. And in line with what Damien said, the only way you truly learn and become, a better person, and also you learn much more, is by traveling. So different colors for different users for the digital cards and physical cards when you onboard in different regions, and also depending on the version you onboard in the app. So, for example, limited edition NFTs and NFTs to represent your individual cultures, because everyone in this group chat is from very diverse cultures, as we know. Another thing we've been also looking at is post-stamp NFTs relative to the onboarding for regions, especially when we first launched in the EEA. And one interesting feature that I've been trying to develop, which I thought would be really interesting, is, for example, a lot of people who onboard our retail app at the start will, access limited edition NFTs, which will be incredibly interesting. But when they start onboarding friends of theirs and to really create a community sense, the ability to actually send NFTs that they'll be able to put onto their digital cards, and that friends will also be able to put onto their individual cards to kind of share around these NFTs in the community. And also for users who travel a lot and who spend abroad, every time they spend with the Cresco card in a new country, they'll unlock the NFT relative to that country, which I think is an interesting concept. So that's what we've been working on at this point in time.
Very, very cool. And we must not also forget that the liquidity providers that have helped us with the liquidity on Geyser, you're going to be rewarded as well, and very well rewarded. I personally love what you're going to receive. It's a bit of a biased opinion, but I'm sure Derek does it as well. Don't you, Derek?
Yeah, it's good what we come up with for an NFT. That's all on you, but yeah, somebody else here with me will approve.
That's all on the artist, and we're fortunate to have very good connections in artistic terms. You've got Damien's friend, Damien's designer, that's going to help us with the logo. You've got so many people who have just concentrated their efforts and are helping us out. All right, so question number 8. What's the progress with the dev hiring? What do you think, Amadeo?
Yeah, it's going much better. In the beginning, it was really hard. It felt like there were no available developers on the market. But now actually we have so much inflow. I think I have interviewed over, and also the HR. I also want to thank our HR people. So we have an HR team in Russia, and also they're interviewing also people actually from all over the world. Right now there's many interviews, and it's going in a more steady direction now. And right now we're looking into either hiring. The issue that we still have with hiring is either React Native developers or Flutter developers, and we're still having an internal discussion on the best framework to go with. And Bertrand and me, we're talking about that. So yeah, it's like the talent pool for front-end developers seems to be harder than back-end developers, and that's interesting because I remember like 3 years ago, it was the other way around. Backend developers were much harder to get, and now it's much harder to get front-end developers. I don't know what that tells about the market, but that's where we are right now. So it's going steady. It's going in a good direction, and we are like kind of full dev mode, almost with the whole team. So it's going good, and we're starting to to deliver more and more code because of that as well. So that's good.
Amazing. Okay. So we've got a great question as well now regarding one of the things that really concern the community at most, which is the gas fees. So with gas fees becoming ridiculously high, what are we going to do to help our community, Derek?
Well, from the start, as you've seen, our goal is to distribute this token as far and as wide as we can. So a centralized exchange is definitely something that we need to look at. This is more in kind of Amadeo and Bertrand's wheelhouse about getting it on to another chain. But certainly centralized exchange is something that we want to look at, because as people can see from the tokenomics, is that it's about 10% of the total float right now that is in WCRES, and as these locks come off, well, I say that, but we've had about 1.1 million tokens come off lock from insiders and team, and nobody sold them. Nobody's even wrapped them. But the goal is that we do have other investors come in as we move to a more decentralized model. And the only way to move large blocks of shares is either through private sales, which we know you guys really love, or through a centralized exchange. So we're always looking at different options for how to distribute the token.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, and sorry, go for it.
Sorry, Amadeo. Yeah, please let me know. Let us know your insights on this.
Yeah, so I mean, gas fees are definitely a problem, and I hope that soon that we can have more like integrations with Optimism or Starkware, and that's something we're actively exploring. And I think for token listing, I think eventually the ultimate goal would be to have a fiat and token pool, right, Robert?
Yeah, you know my view of which sex we should go to. I like the Nasdaq, but maybe not for right now.
So like if we have like any crypto token or any wrapped press, we could also do that, because once the product is live, we have bank accounts. There's no reason for and Crescofin is basically kind of the security token, so there's ways to do that there as well, and that's of course early days. And actually, right now, I think it's a pretty interesting discussion how to provide more liquidity. And I think on the forum there's a thread. There's a couple of threads about that topic. So I want to again encourage everybody to have these more in-depth technical or discussions, to have that on the forum, and then also point us if you have any tips for us to say. Maybe you want to list on this centralized exchange, or now we're also in talks with Bancor, for example, or other decentralized exchanges like OneEdge or other ones. We're all talking to them, but it's not really like an easy answer, right? So in these things, it's not like, okay, let's just do it. We want to do it correctly. So these topics have a little bit more of a deeper discussion to have. So I want to ask everybody to sign up to forum.crescofin.ch to have these discussions there.
Thank you for your input, Amadeo. Yep, definitely. Please give us honor us with your presence in the forum. It's going to be expanded. It's going to fit the new narrative. It's going to fit the new branding, and you'll find it a much more home-like place, so to say. We're going to work heavily on it. So question number 9. Assuming it's possible for us to disclose, could we disclose an update on total company AUM?
So what we're going to get to, I think, is kind of like the roadmap. I mean, it's eventually going to be a continuous update. We'll be like, making it available in real time. We're making it available on chain. Where we are at the moment, we're a regulated company. Things have to be done properly for announcements, audits, etc. So we're going to make an update after Q2, which will be audited and approved. We're just discussing it with people here. But what we would say is that we've said all the way along, we've put out official numbers in our information memorandum. Those numbers are numbers that we're sticking to for this year. And that's where we hope to be on track for the end of 2021. So we'll give more of an update later. But yeah, we believe that we're on track to deliver what we expect to do for 2021.
Yeah, I remember you had so much work with that financial model, and it was not for free. I mean, you really stuck your time in there, and it's the most conservative we've been, and it's the most solid and realistic estimation we can ever give for these numbers. So, question number 10: is the new website going to take long? Don't mind if I do. Ask myself. Well. It's a very good question about the website, because the website's an ambitious project. It's a very, very ambitious project designed to address and encompass all stakeholders in CrescoFin. We're a bridge, as you know, between two worlds, and this bridge needs to be explained to everybody in the best possible way. So the way we're doing this is we're laying out very clear sections of the website that funnel people towards what they want to see, what they want to know about, and obviously what they want to do on the website. And this web development part is being done in parallel with rebranding efforts, of which Damien's the epitome. So he's leading us on the rebranding. He's giving us a new voice, new ideas. He's introducing concepts that we're going to be able to take everywhere and be proud of it. And you as well, community, you're going to be proud of what we are, which is continuous improvement. And something that Derek always says, that growth is intentional, and we're going to make that visible in the website as well. But to get to the gist of your question, no, it's definitely not far away. We've got copy, we've got the ideas for where the sections are going to go. We know how to get to the heart of the problem, and that's what we're going to post there on that website. It's going to be the simplest version you can, but by simple, I don't mean stripped of any good things, of any good arguments. It's going to be your best path towards understanding more about CrescoFin, and it's coming before the beta. I think there are no doubts about this. All right, so question number 11 has been answered by Derek already regarding the revision. So let's move on to question number 12. Have we taken into consideration getting whitelisted on Bancor so that the long-term holders of WPress, of which there are many, if I might say so myself, can put their token to work in a Bancor pool? And I'm guessing one of the main motivations for this is obviously mitigation of impermanent loss risk.
Yeah. So I actually am talking with the Bancor team. Actually, even before I joined CrescoFin, to do a deep dive into their new automated market maker mathematical models, and I've been planning to release a video on that on my DeFi channel. And throughout that, I was talking to some of the team members, and they linked us to some other Bancor core team members as well. And we're now we still need to find some time, Derek and me. We're so overloaded at Derek, but there is actually a Telegram chat right now that is talking about they actually ask us to see if we could list that. A problem that we have, I think Derek, you can also address that, right? We do need to find the liquidity, and we don't want to have the bots arbitrage between the Uniswap and the Bancor pools. But I think with Bancor, it's probably less of an issue. But yeah, we need to address that.
Yeah, it's that we saw between Dodo and Uniswap. I worked it at one point, and somebody every day take an ETH, put it in their pocket, take an ETH, put it in their pocket. And that's out of our pocket, that's out of the community's pocket. So the first time I look at anything that's, a secondary pool of liquidity, I think, okay, where's the money going? Who's going to make money off that? And if it doesn't directly benefit the community or the company, then it just gets, either chucked in the bin or, way down the line of priority. So,
Yeah, so but we're actively looking at that, and also, of course, actively also at the Uniswap V3. But of course, the gas fees are definitely a concern. Also to us, it's a little bit hard to see like what is the best way to do this. I think, Derek, it would be good for us to. What I will do, I will launch a topic on this also on the forum, and we can share our insights there, and probably get some more in-depth discussions going on there on what is the best way to mitigate. I don't know how you call that, but what's the traditional word for that, Derek? If there's two different markets and there's a robot eating, it's like arbitrage bots, but it's arbitrage leakage, or what is the traditional word for that? I don't know, actually.
I'd start with asshole, but it's like, and it's the interesting thing about DeFi is that if you did this in a traditional finance market, any kind of equity, you'd be in jail for what these guys are doing. So you come at this and say, well, what are these people? Are they adding, liquidity to the market? Well, they're not. But yeah, I mean, it's a liquidity issue, and there's several things. Even just the migration to V2 to V3, we're in kind of an interesting spot because, once we removed after the Dodo hack, once we removed the second pool at Dodo, people were concerned about a big rug pull, which we were never going to do, but just to add a secondary layer of security for people, then we locked the liquidity tokens, and those are locked to the 4th of July. And I, hands up, I have not had time to look at it, but our migration in Uniswap to V3, how do we migrate locked tokens? And I just have not had the time to investigate this. So anybody in the community that's had the time to look at this, you can see the Uniswap tokens, either through the Geyser pool or through the company wallet that holds them. And we might just have to wait to the 4th of July to migrate the pool. I don't know the answer to that because they are locked. The majority of them are locked until the 4th of July.
Nice. I'm actually going to make a probably new category for that on the forum about our tokens and maybe our other tokens, but like just a way to have a discussion on liquidity and like how to do this in the best way. It's a very interesting spot, I think, that Crestcofin is in, where security tokens never really took off, especially not in Uniswap. So it's a very unique position, I would say, that the wrapped Crest and the Crest tokens are in, which makes it a probably, in my opinion, a very good longer term bet probably. So like I hear a little bit of an echo, but let's see what is the best way to address this. I'm going to make a forum topic on this, and I will also share our Bancor status there and our Uniswap V3 status as well. And loopring, it's a very interesting suggestion, and I must say also that I'm going to make the forum topic, and I want the community to list it there. And yeah, actually, with Bertrand, I think it was you we were talking about. Is it you asking that question, or we were talking about Hummingbot, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's also about decentralizing the arbitrage, because arbitrage, in your view, arbitrage could be a bad thing if it's done by unknown market makers that take a big risk or big rewards. But if we manage to decentralize I would say the synchronization of different liquidity source, that could help also the community. Like that, what is proposing
I don't know if I've
Celo.
stated it publicly, but then, I've said right from the start that to a bunch of people that if I had this to do all over again in terms of, when we had the Dodo launch and the balancer pool and then the Uniswap pool, I would have, hired a team to run the arbitrage right from the start, so that it was a dedicated team to benefit the company and the community, and just keep the arb going, and and control the process. But somebody else has been doing it, and we kind of have ideas on that. But we just, again, we're trying to get a product to market. We have a core product, and that's what our focus is. We're not an arbitrage company, so there's only so many hours in the day.
But I love the idea of a bot, though. I think that's great. Our own ARB bot.
Yeah, it democratizes the liquidity provisioning. It's again another way of doing things. Something really, I'm not sure if there's many people watching still yet, but something for me that's the most fascinating about DeFi is that the way to think about DeFi, and now for me thinking again about CeFi, it's like automated market makers. And I think, Derek, for you, it must be a very weird concept, because automated market makers are a pretty old concept, and always basically like a little bit of a fable story in traditional markets, right? It never really worked, never really took off. But now in DeFi, they're actually taking off, and we removed the order book. So there's no order book on a decentralized exchange, and that's why automated market makers maybe will work. And Michael from Curve also thinks that automated market makers will be more efficient than traditional markets over time. So let's see. I would like to hear, Derek, what do you think? Will automated market makers will actually be more efficient, or you're still doubting?
Well, look, I've been watching financial markets for over 10 years, and I think that I think these market makers, I think this is exactly what the banks have used. But the thing is, if you put 23 of these around a matching engine, they'll all work slightly differently based on the amount of liquidity, and this is what's driving financial markets. And you see this, and you see when prices spike. And if anybody that's a chartist, pure chart analysis person can look at any chart and say, well, this is what's going to happen. And I see this in the chat all the time, all this technical analysis of price. And it is driven by, number one, human behavior, and the second thing is the AMM. So there's been a degree of AMMs operating for an endless amount of time, but bringing them in and having trading against a single AMM is a different exercise, and that process itself hasn't been tested. But I've spent a lot of time, and Rob, every time I start talking to somebody about this, Rob kind of kicks me under the table and says, just shut up, you know way too much about this, and you just confuse everybody. But these curves are real, and I'm sensitive. I look at it every time. Where are we exactly on this curve? So the next guy that wants to buy, whether it's $10,000 or 10,000 WCRES, what's going to be the impact of the price? And as we have these big ramps in price, it's not fair to people, and so we need to look at that. And it causes a lot of volatility, so that the steady slow burn is fine, and the buy and holds are fine. But when you get a lot of this volatility in the higher price zones, then we need to address that, and that's when you come back to other pools or centralized exchange or market makers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of projects are giving people a lot of paper gains and then robbing them again of it's a lot of weird things going on, unfortunately, now in the AMM space, in my opinion. But projects like Curve or now also Uniswap v3 give us so much super cool new tools, and it also, in my opinion, shows how early we are in this market. As Bertrand said, only 1% of the Ethereum address actually interacted with DeFi. And a lot of people are, for example, on Binance Smart Chain or seeing the Pancake Swap stuff and think that they actually make a lot of money, but they actually lose money because they get like these useless tokens, and underneath their actual liquidity is being sucked away, and they're stuck with these useless tokens. So it's like you really have to watch out what you're doing. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, and we definitely want to be a more mature player in the space, where we want to be more mature and see how we can make this more efficient. At the end of the day, it's a kind of like a security token. So if I wonder, it's these things that happen to the security token. Let's see. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of legal implications that might have in the future. This also brings us to the whole MEV discussion. That's probably a little bit too much to go into right now, but maybe for another time.
Thank you very much. So for the next question number 13, how far are we from going live with the product, the schedule? What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, so I think like for the institutional portal where like a web app will be built to give them access, that's probably going to go relatively fast. For a go live with a fully fledged retail focused app, it's hard to say. There's a lot of curveballs, there's a lot of things still to do, and as said before, we will make a more interactive roadmap where you will see all the points that we're working on. So you can see what the progress is on that side. But I mean, it's said like product going live. Well, the Robert, right? The product is already live. So I mean, we are able now to basically create bank accounts. We have a Crescofin bank account with balance on our own bank, kind of basically. But yeah, maybe Robert can say a little bit about that.
Yeah, maybe a high level thing is that we're live now. We're working with institutions. What Amadeo and the team are very focused on is the retail app, and that makes it real to people, because at the moment, behind the scenes, we deal with a lot of institutions, and that is live. And so on the retail side, we're going to have a progressive rollout. It's going to start hopefully with people in the community, and then it's going to go in wider circles to get more and more people to be using it, adopting it, giving us feedback, and then we're going to have specific entries to different markets. But I mean, all of this takes a little bit of time. I would guess that the MVP is still for the retail side is probably a couple months away. But it's like we've expanded essentially what we're going to do. I mean, it's going to be pretty earth shattering, I think, when it like is in people's hands. I think you'll see this. I'm super excited. This holistic movement from traditional finance to DeFi, all in one super app. I mean, and it's going to, with lots of different fiat possibilities, lots of different crypto possibilities. So I'm super excited about it, and we're going as fast as we can, and but we're doing it properly. So the retail side is coming, and the institutional side's there.
Okay, great. So basically a different question now, at least in a different direction. Are you going to offer tokenized shares, like you tokenized your own shares? This person thinks it could be bigger than even the savings opportunity we're using now.
And so the short answer is yes. That's absolutely what we're going to do. It's not for the MVP. It's not for phase 1 or 2. But just like we integrated with Currency Cloud and some others, we're really excited about the opportunity to offer like real tangible access to Apple stock or Tesla or indices. And yeah, we were kind of I guess we led from the front, trying we tokenized our own shares. It's the first regulated company to have real equity tokens on Uniswap. And we did it on a really cool, like the C layer, the C layer open source software under MIT license, which is Cyril Lepente. And it also involved Bertrand, who contributed to that code base as well, right? In the Git. So yeah, so we have expertise in tokenizing and also in fractionalizing, real world securities. So that is definitely the plan. So.
Very good. Okay, so now for the grand finale in planned questions. There's a planned boxing match between Andre and Infinitum in October in Dubai. Would this be a good place for some advertising? Oh, definitely, just standing in there while they
We were
while they
actually going there. We were actually
They
going
each
there.
other.
Oh no, not that one. But we were actually planning to go to Dubai, but we decided to not go, and because we just have too much on our plate right now in terms of product and development and stuff. So I mean, yeah, I don't know, boxing match. Yeah, it's like a battle, right? So it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's funny question. I don't know. Like Robert, what do you think?
I've already asked Elsa. She's the toughest on our team, so she's thinking about it.
Yeah,
So battling a trad 5
question.
villain. So
yeah, we just have to find someone in TradFi that would like the onslaught.
Well,
I mean,
we'll send Elsa to take anyone on.
we could do that too. It's
yeah.
funny.
All right. Okay, so that's all that we have for the planned questions. Let's quickly take a look at the live chat and see if you've got some live questions as well. Let's put them on the spotlight here. So feel free to pick questions up, please.
I had a couple of direct messages, one in particular recently, like today, but I've had a few people have asked me about the Terra ecosystem and Anchor, and whether we were interested in that, because that's a stable coin that offers a certain return. And the answer is yes. We're interested in other groups that are essentially doing things in the real world and offering attractive returns. So that is something we're pretty keen on. Well, obviously, like we're going to start with our great partner Aave, but there's quite a few yield opportunities in DeFi that we're hoping to bring essentially and offer in CeFi. So
yeah, and that's part of the beauty of Merkle Tree is that we can bring this into the insured space and look at what the risks are by every DeFi protocol and assess them. I mean, how does this all go wrong, and put an insurance policy around it.
Awesome. Okay, so a lot of chat, a lot of stuff here. Very interesting topics.
do you want to just? I mean, we've taken up a lot of people's time.
We have
Friday
indeed.
afternoon. And I know it's very boring. So maybe we could just all kind of, I don't know, a few.
Sure. Well,
a few
if
questions.
we see no, well, we see no.
One of the
movement
questions
here.
I did see was a question about Rob's birthday party last week, and there was no party. So we're still planning on one, and we're going to give him the bumps and all that kind of stuff. So
I'm saving it up for everybody in Shadowcracy and things like that when the stupid virus is gone.
Oh, look here.
There was a question about Binance Smart Chain.
Binance
I think that's Amadeo's favorite chain, isn't it? Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah, so I think I like how Hayden Adams says that, right? We can take the easy route, or we can take the hard route for more the longer term. And I think a lot of tokens, they are very they just go live on Binance Smart, which is fine. But I think, especially looking at it, we need one ledger or like an ecosystem, or I do believe in a multi-chain universe, but we do need to look at security. And I think the security trade-off that Binance Smart Chain did is just not interested for a company like Crescofin with the amounts that we're, the institution that we're dealing with. And if you then see the centralized control of a chain like that, in my opinion, that can be dangerous. Like if Crescofin loses funds, it's like actual funds, like it's not just random tokens, it's actual security. So Binance Smart Chain is not really
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I know it's not Amadeo's favorite.
No, I know.
I know it's not your favorite, Amadeo.
I like Binance as a company, and I think CZ is an amazing entrepreneur. But then saying that Binance Smart Chain is decentralized is a bit misusing the word and the term, in my opinion. But although it does push all of us to move faster and show that actually that we can actually move a little bit quicker. Although I like Solana, I like Phantom, I like Matic, and I like XDAI. I do a lot of research on all of them, so I like all of them. I like everybody that tries to, make a more decentralized system where the users get more control. So yeah.
Bertrand, what do you think? What other chains or side chains or layer 2s?
I follow Loopring since the beginning, and I've invested in the beginning also. I think Loopring is showing that KP can works for decentralized exchange, and they have more and more success. But currently, I'm believe more into XDAI, Matic, and maybe more also Celo, because that's also what I've integrated or what I'm integrated for request network. So bringing the transaction from mainnet to XDAI lowers the cost much more. So we go from maybe $2,000 to 2 cents. So that's a big decrease. And yeah, if we can help users or potential investor to buy token cheaper on another sidechain without paying so much cost on the exchange, I guess it will help everybody. And it's more in the future. Even Paraswap, the French aggregator, has already integrated Matic and BSC also, I guess, because many liquidity is on BSC also.
So one point I have there, right? So we now have like lazy liquidity provisioning, right? And that's actually what we want, right? You don't want to like every day log in and to click a button to switch over your liquidity, right? You want to provide liquidity for like maybe 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, right? Then yes, you need, but you would prefer security over the speed. So it's these chains that are now like a lot of them like have these high APIs. They just want to have on-chain activity, so that's why they give the high API. So it's a weird, very new system we're in. We're still exploring.
Great. So Bertrand, there's one other question somebody would like to know the answer to.
Favorite Linux distribution? Wow, that's a difficult question. Currently, I'm on Ubuntu Linux because of the long-term support, but it's more for the corporate side. But after there is to me, I was a Fedora ambassador before, so yeah, that's the usual fork between mainly Ubuntu and Fedora, which are the most contributors. But more technical Arch Linux also. So yeah, it's like what is your favorite IMM or what is your favorite DEX?
Yeah, very, very personal. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe for the grand finale, what do you think about this question? All these solutions that we've talked about maybe are so short term. This is stuff from this side of the bridge, not for the other side. So
yeah,
when is it that DeFi finally gets mass adopted?
When Cresco-Fin goes live, right?
Very good.
Yeah, but that's the
very good.
Yeah, but that's no joke. That is the idea, right? I mean, the whole model behind it is.
Yeah, when the bridge goes live, we will do maybe like an incentivized come to DeFi moment.
Yeah, that's Amadeus' idea of a vampire attack on the entire traditional financial system.
Yeah, okay, I can say it. So like, yeah, I want to do a vampire attack on the CeFi system.
But that's coming. That's the plan, right? So
that is the plan. So it's like what SushiSwap did to Uniswap. We basically have a CeFi system here that gives very low yields. We're going to give you a higher yield, and we're going to give you some extra rewards for the effort you have to do to, research this option, right? So like, yeah, I think then we will help DeFi to get in a good direction. But all jokes aside, I think, when we get the bridge live, we can do like a vampire attack so that we get more liquidity from CeFi to DeFi. and then to get more and more real world assets to be interacting with a newer financial system. And then I think when we get more centralized financial activity to or more decentralized system, then you will get this. Then you will get mass adoption. So then you will get companies like you will get companies like bigger insurance companies involved. You will get Merkle Tree Insurance involved. So let's see.
But that's really core to
that's
it.
one of the the kind of stage 2, stage 3 of Merkle Tree is allowing off-chain insurers to access decentralized insurance. Because this is the real thing. Cresco is uniquely posed to be this bridge between centralized finance and decentralized finance, and Merkle Tree is the same thing. Off-chain insurance, on-chain insurance. People need an on-ramp and an off-ramp, and that's the big thing that we're offering in both entities.
Yeah, that's the bridge or the merge, right, of those two worlds.
Because the insurance companies, that's their their business is writing premiums and not paying out claims, and they'll just be looking for new venues. And we need to obviously be quite prudent about where we're going to write risk, but the the real opportunity is bringing these big balance sheets in the billions, trillions of dollars, and saying, well, look, just look over here because here's some risk that you can write against.
I see some questions in the chat as well about Aave, and the private pool they've got set up with institutions and like fees and stuff like that. And at the moment, I think all we'll say is like Derek said earlier, we've got with the client, we've got like $100,000 or 100,000 cruised live now or going live. People are working on it as we speak. So that'll be some interesting news to come in the future about cruised and Aave and other integrations. So.
And like I always say, we know a guy at Aave.
Yes, we do.
Maybe we should leave it on that point because I'm probably nobody's watching us. I can't see. It's probably just us.
The numbers are dwindling, but
we've taken up everybody. We've taken up too much time,
And for the rest of the questions,
apparently we have somebody that's sitting in the bath. Mikey in the Telegram channels, sitting in the bath right now. So it's not the visual I want, but.
I see one. Yeah, so if you want to talk about the DeFi stuff or some more like in-depth DeFi related discussions, go to the forum.crescofin.ch. I just, I don't know, maybe the top chat stuff is not working anymore, but I just dropped a link to the forum.crescofin.ch with a discussion on how we can get more liquidity into WCRES and how we can basically maybe make an automated market making robot team. Right, so with Hummingbot and stuff, so that would be cool to explore.
Wonderful. Okay, I think that's all for today. This was the most comprehensive AMA we've ever had.
Yeah.
We're very proud of to have answered so many questions and gotten so many questions as well. So
thanks to our community. This is what's going to make the company great. It's not really those of us who are here on the screen. It's everybody who participates. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get more and more people like Bertrand involved, not just being on the community side, but actually doing some of the hard work. So it's really exciting. We're going to have another celebrity guest in 2 weeks. So we hope you'll join us again.
And stay tuned. That's right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Talk soon.